What is going on, beautiful, amazing, wonderful people? Today we're gonna plant our beans. Hope you can learn something from this video. We have 5-6 variety of beans we're gonna plant. We're gonna plant them off right behind you. Where you see I tilled this yesterday. And let me show you what variety of beans we have today. Alright guys, first variety of beans we have today, volunteer white half runners. This 5 to 6 inch long pod. These run about 8 to 10 feet tall. They're supposed to be half runners. Don't believe that garbage. They run a long way. Almost all the beans I'm planting today are pole beans, which mean they run up a pole. In my case, I don't use a pole. What I use is baler's twine, polypropylene baler's twine. It's cheap, it's reusable. I have a video on how to tie the knots on another video. But check the beans out. These are, so if you guys can see that, they're white beans. They're about the size of a pencil eraser dried. This is the #1 variety to grow in my area. Probably the Southeast in general. Best selling bean there is. All right guys, on to the second variety. Second variety, these are Kentucky Wonder wax beans. This is a yellow bean. This is not a green bean. These are yellow beans, and the color is sort of a reddish purple. If you guys can see that, it's like a reddish purple bean. And these are really delicious beans. They do have strings. When they are small, they do not have strings. An awesome bean to plant. These grow like crazy. You're talking like 15-20 foot vines if you had something that tall. So I just keep tucking the vine back under and under and under again, and it just keeps growing. All right, the next variety of beans, Blue Lake pole beans, the stringless beans. This is what you see in the grocery store a lot of times. I don't know if you guys can read that. Blue Lake pole beans. I'm gonna have to zoom in. This is also a white bean. It's a little more elongated than the white half runner. About the same size as the white half runner, but it's a little more elongated. These don't produce that well. They're more vine than bean, so I only plant these because a lot of people don't like taking the time to pull the string off of beans, which the white half runner and the Kentucky Wonder have as well. The next bean, I grew these last year and saved the seed. This is an heirloom variety. These are called dragon tongue. If you look, it sort of looks like a cranberry bean, perhaps pinto bean sort of. But these are a very unique variety of bean. They are yellow bean with purple stripes on them. Super sought after. They're very delicious beans. The seed's pretty ridiculously expensive. That's why I save my own seed. There's probably enough to plant 20-30 yard row with these. Can't wait to have these again on my plate. They're delicious beans. I love them. The last bean I have to plant today is what's called a Dade pole bean. These were originally created in Dade County, Florida. It's a super long bean. These are like probably 8 to 9 inch long beans. I'm talking like that long, and they're like at least a ½ inch wide, maybe more. Huge beans. One of my top 2 or 3 beans that I like. A lot of people love these beans. They're super tender. When they're young, they don't have strings. They're a much larger bean than the white half runner. I don't know if you guys can see that. I also saved these seeds. These are heirlooms. These are really hard to find. I think and they're very expensive seeds. Like for 3 ounces, I believe it was 3 ounces, it was $14. Unlike this, like these white half runners, this is a 5-pound bag. So 3 ounces for $14. This 5-pound bag of white half runners was also $14. So you can see the difference in price in the seed. And let's see, how many ounces is 5 pounds? 16 ounces in a pound, 32, 64, 60, 75, 80. So I believe that's right. My math, I don't know. My brain doesn't work very well anymore, so I'm getting older. I know a lot of you guys know about that as well. All right, let's get our rows laid off and get these beans in the ground. I'll show you the method I use to plant. It's not just throwing the bean in the ground and covering it over. There's another step involved that I like to do to ensure the best germination possible. And let's get it started, guys. All right, guys, the next step in the process is we are going to pour water down the rows that we've laid off. Not a lot, just enough to wet the bottom of the row. That way the seed will have an adequate amount of water to absorb so it will germinate properly. This increases germination by a lot. You do not, under no circumstances do you want to plant the beans any deeper than a 1/2 inch. They will rot in the ground. I've had it happen plenty of times before. So 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. Let's get that water poured, the beans in the ground. Then after we get the beans in the ground, we'll cover it up, and that will be it, guys. All right, everybody out there on the internet, the beans have been watered in. No, they haven't been watered in. I just watered the bottom of the row. I haven't even put the beans in yet. So the next step is actually to plant the beans in the rows, and then we'll cover them up. I already told you before, the reason I put the water in the rows is to provide an adequate amount of water so that the seeds can absorb it and they'll be able to germinate faster and more efficiently. Let's get the beans in the ground and cover them up, and I will finish this video up and we will get on with it. Whew. All right, guys. All the beans are planted. Something I forgot to mention, another reason that I put the water down before I plant the beans is if it rains after I plant the beans, the loose soil will sort of push the beans down to a further depth in the soil, and it'll cause them to rot in the soil. So that is the other reason I put the water in before I plant the beans. The first row here are the dragon's tongue, the white half runner, and the second and third row are both white half runners as well. The bottom row over there is the Dade pole beans, and tomorrow I'm going to till another spot on the other side of the garden, and I'm going to finish planting the Kentucky Wonder wax beans and the Blue Lakes. The only thing left is to cover the beans in, and then that is all. That is how you plant beans. I'd never fertilize after I plant the beans. I always wait until they're up about 1.5 inches tall before I fertilize. It seems to damage the beans if you fertilize before they're at least that big. I don't know the reason. It's like the organic fertilizer sort of decomposes, or maybe even rots or petrifies. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. If you learned anything and enjoyed this video, please slap that like button, and we'll see you on the next one.